All right, so if you're an industrial designer, you know the drill, right? You're obsessed with form, function, materials, all the good stuff. But what happens after you nail the design? What about the actual world your creation is about to be born into? That's what we're digging into today. And trust me, this isn't some boring business talk for the marketing folks. This is a core design principle.
Seriously? Think about it. You can spend weeks sketching the most beautiful chair or prototyping a device that's just incredibly intuitive. But if you haven't thought about its context, where it actually fits, who it's really for, what's going on around it, then all you've made is a cool object in a vacuum. The real secret, the thing that separates good design from legendary design, is figuring out how to design its place in the world. And yeah, that world actually has a name. It's called the marketing environment. I know, it sounds super dry, like something out of a business textbook. But for a designer like you, it's not that at all. Just think of it as a map of the real world, the people, the trends, all the forces that are going to decide if your brilliant idea actually, works. And learning to read this map, it's one of the most powerful tools you can have. Okay, so how do we actually read this map? It really just means looking up from your sketchbook, beyond the drawing board, and understanding all the stuff that influences your work. It's not as complicated as it sounds. We can basically break this whole world down into two key layers. So here they are, the microenvironment and the macroenvironment. The easiest way to think about it is this. The microenvironment is like your immediate neighborhood. It's the stuff that's close by, the things you can actually interact with and even influence. But the macroenvironment? That's more like the global climate. These are the huge forces you can't change, but you have to understand them so you can adapt. Let's zoom in on that neighborhood first. All right, this is what we call your inner circle. These are all the players and forces you're going to be dealing with pretty much day to day. They're tangible, they're close, and they have a direct impact on how your design actually comes to life and makes it out into the world. So what exactly is this inner circle? Well, the official definition is it's all the factors close to the company that directly impact how it serves its customers. But forget the formal definition for a second. This is an abstract theory. We're talking about real people, real partners you're actually going to work with. And here they are. This is your neighborhood. You've got the company itself. That means your colleagues in engineering, finance, you name it. Then you've got suppliers, the people who actually get you the materials you need for your design. You have intermediaries, the retailers or websites that actually get the product into people's hands. And then the big ones, your customers, your competitors, and the public. The key thing to remember is that as a designer, you have a say in how all these relationships work. Okay, so we've explored the immediate neighborhood. Now let's zoom way out and look at the bigger picture. We're talking about the huge, sweeping forces that shape everything, including that entire microenvironment we just talked about. And here's the deal. You can't control these forces, but you absolutely can and must design for them. Right, so this is the macro environment. It's all those big societal forces that are way outside your control, but that you have to pay attention to. Because these forces, they're what create the amazing opportunities for your designs to really take off. Or, on the flip side, the threats that could make them totally irrelevant. And what are we talking about here? Things like demographics. Who are the people out there? How are they changing? The economy. What can people actually afford right now? Technology. What new tools, materials, or platforms are popping up that you can use? And of course, you've got massive things like culture, politics, and the natural environment. These are the winds and the tides. You don't control them, but you have to know how to navigate them. So, okay, this all sounds pretty theoretical. What does it actually look like in the real world? Well, let's take a look at a company that is an absolute master at this stuff. I'm talking about Lego. We're going to see how they don't just build with bricks. They build their entire world by mastering their environment.
Seriously, Lego is the perfect example of this. Their success isn't an accident, and it's not just because they invented a really clever plastic brick. It's because they are geniuses at reading that map we were talking about, both their immediate neighborhood and the wider world.
So first, let's look at their micro-environment, their neighborhood. Lego gets that their customers aren't just kids. They've built this incredible community that includes everyone from toddlers to these super passionate adult collectors. And they don't just sell to them. They engage with them through fan events and social media. They basically turn their customers into collaborators, which builds this insane level of loyalty. Now, zooming out to the macro environment, look at how they respond to big cultural shifts. For example, as the world started talking more about diversity and representation, what did Lego do? They designed more inclusive characters. They saw that culture was becoming more global, so they created themes like architecture or Ninjago that appeal to a worldwide audience. They adapt to stay relevant. And technology. This is a big one. They didn't see video games and apps as a threat to their physical toy. No way. They embraced it. They treated digital as just another material to build with. Think about the apps that bring sets to life, all the video games, the digital design tools. They saw this huge technological wave coming, and they didn't run from it. They learned how to surf it. And then there's the natural environment. As more and more people, their customers, started caring deeply about sustainability, LEGO listened. They made this huge public commitment to finding and using eco-friendly materials. And that's not just some clever PR move, that's smart design. It's aligning the very physical substance of your product with the core values of the people who buy it. So here's the bottom line with LEGO. Their success is absolutely not an accident. It's a direct result of them being masters of their environment, both micro and macro. And they prove better than anyone that understanding all this stuff isn't some task you pass off to the marketing team. It is a fundamental, absolutely crucial principle of great, lasting design. Okay, that's LEGO. Super impressive. But how do you, an industrial design student working on your own projects, actually use this stuff? Let's take everything we've talked about and boil it down into a simple, practical blueprint you can start using, like tomorrow.
It's basically a three-step process. First up, market analysis. And I mean before you're even done sketching, go look at your competitors. What are people complaining about with their products? Where are the gaps? And look at those big macro trends. Is everyone moving into smaller apartments? Is work from home a permanent thing? Next, customer segmentation. Look, everyone is not your customer. Be specific. Are you designing a gadget for a tiny city kitchen or a massive suburban one? Because those are two totally different design problems. And finally, number 3, evaluate. Once your design is out there, even if it's just a prototype, get feedback. Find out how people are really using it. This whole loop, listening, learning, and tweaking your design, that's the heart of everything we do.
So, the next time you're heading back to the studio, I want you to think about this. Look, creating something that answers a need, that's good design. That's the baseline. But legendary design, the stuff that really lasts, it does more than that. It understands the world it lives in. It joins the conversation that's already happening about culture, about technology, about what it means to be human. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, what is your design going to say?